Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Big Home Ed Conversations, the last one of season 4. So we are Kelly Rigg. I'm home ed mum of 2, founder of Off-Roading Motherhood, and a qualified mindset coach. So I'm really passionate about supporting parents and neurodivergent families, especially as they navigate the transition from mainstream schooling into home education. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Ashley Venerio. So she's a fellow home ed mum of 3 and a former primary teacher. So we created the Big Home Ed Conversations podcast with what began as just really honest, heartfelt talks around the coffee table while the kids were running around us. But it's now grown into a space where hundreds of listeners now tune in for real, unfiltered conversations about mindset, behavior challenges, educational philosophies, and the often emotional journey of alternative education. So we aim to cut through the noise and to focus on what really matters to home educating families, offering you clarity, confidence, and some community in every episode. Today, we thought we'd keep up with the tradition of what we kind of started last year, I suppose. Is it officially a tradition if you're doing it 2 years in a row?
I think so. Yeah.
We can definitely do it for you every year if you like it. But it was one of our most listened to episodes last year. It was our year on reflection, just like considering what went well in our home ed this year, what we loved, what resources we enjoyed, places we went that just felt absolutely epic, and what we maybe want to look forward to next year, if there's anything that we're keeping, anything we're getting rid of, any kind of like lasting thoughts. This is a lovely opportunity for us to reflect as well and really consider those things in our home ed journey, because I think so often we can all find ourselves just ticking along, just like keeping on going, and sometimes it can be quite difficult to pause and actually go, gosh, I did that really well, or my kids have really shown a lot of growth in this area, and actually it feels really nice sometimes to sit and just have a bit of a pause and to notice the changes that are happening.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd do that for you today and let you know what we've been up to. So this is going to be pretty chilled. We've not really done much planning ahead of this episode. We're just going to let it go where it goes. I've had a bit of a think and flicked back through my photos this morning to see like what bits really stand out to me. And I think I'll start with travel. Now, travel doesn't necessarily have to mean going abroad. Obviously, I appreciate we all have our varying budgets, and we certainly can't travel a lot in terms of getting overseas to different countries. But my kids show such an intense gratitude for travel. And as a neurodivergent family, especially, we seek novelty like it's going out of fashion. And honestly, it does my head in a lot bit at home, because it's very difficult to create novelty in your own house, in the same old, and the same clubs and groups and the same groups of places that you see people and everything. And eventually you do get a bit bored and a little bit stuck, and none of us know really what to do with ourselves. But travel it just has novelty built in. Every single second of the day has some element of novelty. You're staying in a different place, you're seeing different things, you're speaking a different language. Like, we've just gotten back from Belgium, and the whole week my kids were looking for new words to learn and asking people what things meant or how to say it. And we were learning a bit of Dutch before we went, and they got kind of stuck saying bedankt because it sounded like donked on the head. It's thank you is bedankt. And they honestly were just hilarious in the lead up, learning how to say goodbye, so doei and hello, and trying to get the accent right and saying it correctly. And as we were driving through Belgium to get there, we saw for sale signs to coop. I'm not sure if I'm even saying it right, but we just were picking up bits and pieces all over the place, and their joy for it was just unbearably cute. That and the fact that Belgium is completely flat. My kids have now decided that it is illegal to have hills in Belgium, that people who build a hill, if they make a hill, then they'll probably go to jail for the rest of their lives. I think we consider it a heinous crime. They just really tickled me. They're just like, oh no, that guy over there, he's doing some building work and he's made a hill, he's going to get into trouble with the police. It's just so cute. And they just have had the best time just noticing the differences and seeing stuff that's going on around them. And the learning just happens all for itself. Like, I try and keep a little bit of a log at the end of each day. I just try and note down the things which I've noticed, or things we've actively, intentionally learnt about. And my goodness, I think one day I was sat there for over 45 minutes logging bits and pieces of things that I'd seen them doing. And I was just like, holy moly, this just writes itself. Like, I've not put any effort into this today, and they've just had a wonderful day. They've learned so much. And so I think for me, if there's definitely one thing I'll reflect on this year, is obviously the opportunities we've had to travel. We're really lucky to get to go over to Belgium this week just gone, but we've done a lot of UK travel, just camping and being in different parts of the country and seeing different environments, seeing all the ponies in the New Forest and all these different experiences. I think just adds so much enrichment to our children's lives and gives them a chance to see some different perspectives and to ask some new questions. And it just piques that curiosity that, you can absolutely keep trying to replicate that at home, but it is harder. It is harder.
Yeah.
And I've just found that the weeks we've been away have created that much more learning than I could possibly even imagine. And it takes the pressure off. Like, it's a really lovely, easeful thing for a change. So I think that's definitely something which I'm going to try and weave in as many opportunities to do as possible. I said to my husband, if we set up a budget and we decide how much we can spend, maybe we can be a little bit more selective with it and try and do some little weekends in different countries, or try and give our youngest a chance to fly. Like, she's never flown before. Like, we might be able to do a little trip somewhere or whatever, and give them some other experiences this year. But you've obviously had some lovely opportunities to travel this year as well, haven't you, really? Obviously getting over to France and going back to Italy and seeing family and things. Like, your kids are very lucky with all of that anyway, aren't they? They get to see lots of different parts of the world.
We definitely do. I think it's the nature of living somewhere that you're not from. It just means that we constantly have complained about this throughout our relationship, even before kids, that we spend all of our money and time off of work traveling to see family
Mm.
and not traveling on our own. Like, even our honeymoon, his parents came along because they had flown all the way to the States for our wedding. Obviously, they weren't going to fly back. So everything has been an effort of being with family or getting to family.
Mm.
And so I think this is one of the notes that I had down for this conversation was travel and how it's played out in the past and what we're trying to have it look like in the future. This is definitely going to change this coming year because my parents had planned to come to England and they were going to swing by as part of a cruise that they were doing and spend a couple weeks with us before they got on the boat. But they then canceled that trip, and we are not going to the States to make up for it.
Mm.
So it is just so expensive to get our family of 5 there in the first place that we then have
Mm.
nothing to spend once we're there.
Mm.
And it just feels like maintaining the day to day as well, because while, of course, we're with my parents and they're doing plenty of things for us, it's not a vacation,
No.
right? And it's still
Yeah.
lovely, but I still have to do all the things you do at home, make the food,
Yeah.
clean up the food, and grocery
Yeah.
shop. And it just doesn't feel like we're getting any of those like vacation moments. Like, even just
Yeah.
this past weekend, we were also away because we just took a quick opportunity to pop down to the Champagne area of France and get some champagne and do the Christmas markets with the kids. And you just have all these little things that come up that become like funny little moments that you remember,
Yeah.
just kind of building those core memories. And it's really nice, and that doesn't happen in the same way when we're just at our grandparents' house. There's
Mm.
definitely memories being made, but they're
Yeah.
very different. They're
Very
not about
different.
our,
Yeah.
like, nuclear family, right? And so I think that's the goal that we're trying to do, is just sort of make an effort. My husband had to go to Bora Bora last New Year's for work, and we, much to the kids, well, I don't want to say disappointment because they should have a good time, but it was a very long stay at Nona's for that trip to Bora Bora. But like we said, we're going to do it because we're trying to just sort of seize opportunities, and we were able to fly on points. And I obviously stayed with him. And so for the cost of the trip for where we were going was very good bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try to continue to do things like that this year. But for the kids, I want us to explore where we are. So we are trying to do more. Okay, there's lovely Christmas markets that we can drive to. Let's do that. There's
Mm.
plenty of places within England and the UK that I want to see. And so I'm going to try to as well. Just be really intentional this year to say, okay, where do we want to go? What are some places that we keep talking about? Even just like Oxford,
Mm.
Manchester, like, let's make that happen. What do we want to do while we're there? And so I think that's something that we're going to focus on a lot this year, because the little bits that we have done have been great. So we did go this past year to the New Forest. A lot of you were camping. We stayed in a cottage that my girls
Mm.
loved. So I'm already emailing with them, trying to figure out what date we're doing it.
Mhm.
And we're absolutely doing it again for a week.
It'd be
because
nice.
they just loved it, and it just, again, puts us down in the New Forest area, which they're just happy going for a walk and seeing horses, so it's
Yeah,
great.
it's wonderful. Yeah.
Mhm. And then we'll definitely camp again, hopefully glamp, though. I don't think I'm ever gonna be a camper.
I
Um,
have got ideas. I've been looking at Eurocamp and I'm very excited. Like they do, like the whole
yeah,
setup is there, the tent's there, they've got actual
yeah,
beds, they've got all the cookers and the fridge freezer for you and everything. And it's like 300 quid for a week. And I'm just like, I think I might need to do this at some point. I found a gorgeous one in Switzerland yesterday. It's right on a lake. Like it's
yeah,
20 minutes to Interlaken. Like my goodness, I'm just like, oh my God, I've always wanted to go to Switzerland. So that might have to happen next year. But like, I think
yeah,
creativity wise, like realizing that there are so many different options for travel. And sometimes, I mean, I get a bit stuck on how it needs to look or that it needs to be a certain way. And I think pre-kids, we were lucky enough to do a bit of luxury travel and to have that kind of really lovely adults only, gorgeous,
yes,
like, oh, just
yes,
wonderful experiences that have spoilt me rotten. And so kind of like when you have to backtrack it a little at a time to like get yourself used to it. But we've got massively into camping and we really enjoy it. But to take all the camping gear over to Europe felt really like, maybe not. But actually looking at it, you don't even need to take all the gear. Like you can just rent
just
the
borrow it,
camp,
yeah,
the tents put up for you and everything. It's like, this is amazing. I could love to go do that. So yeah, we're definitely going to get a bit more creative with our travel and see what we can squeeze our budget to achieve to get more opportunity to be away, to get more weeks of our life traveling and seeing the world.
yeah,
Because I think we've managed 5 weeks this year. I was thinking, gosh, that's quite a lot. Like it's five
that's
weeks
great.
of being in different places. I mean, most of that was camping, so don't I jumped down my throat about being like very frivolous. But like this is all mostly camping. Belgium was definitely our most expensive thing we've done this year, but it was just really really fun getting to see some lovely new
Yeah,
places. And I think the other thing I put on my little notes about today was using different modes of transport. It sounds like,
yes,
I mean, we know that kids tend to love trains or they love whatever, but there is some real novelty to traveling to somewhere using a mode of transport that they wouldn't normally get to use. And
mhm,
we've done a couple of little boat trips and things this year, but getting to take the car ferry over to Belgium, it
yeah.
was quite funny because both myself and Ashley were at port or to like come home at almost exactly the same time. And I think she probably got home about 2 hours before me. She took the Eurostar.
Yeah. I will say we were looking and we're like, "Oh, this is way faster."
Yeah.
And it was raining a lot, so I thought of you and thought like, "Oh gosh, yeah, that maybe not the best views
On the
when
way
it's
back, it
foggy
was
and
dark. We
rainy."
couldn't see anything,
Yeah.
but on the way there, it was good. Um,
Yeah, but I
but
agree,
yeah,
like, I think it's nice to change it up and depending on where you're going, and again, the time of year, like, is it if it's gonna be a time where you can have a great time on the ferry, I think that's a fun
mm,
experience too, and trains, we actually
yeah.
I finally booked my daughter's gonna be 12 this year, but I finally booked her 10-year-old. My plan was when she turned 10 to do a trip just with her, and,
No.
I finally booked it this year, so we're gonna take the train there, and that'll be
Yeah.
really fun.
It
So,
is fun, isn't it? Like
yeah.
different modes of transport can be really entertaining. I mean, I took the train up north to see family once, just to give the kids something different. Oh no, it wasn't up north; it
Mhm.
was to go and see my mum. Sorry, over in the West Country. And like we went on the train, and they were like so excited to get on the train. They spent the whole time whining, and I'm like, kids, seriously, like this was an adventure. But the reason why I mentioned it was more because like it just gives you, again, when you're looking at it from a home ed perspective, getting on the
Mhm.
ferry to go over, you've got them reminding us that when we get to the other side that we're going to have to drive on the other side of the road. You've got them actually concentrating on the fact that how the actual tugboat comes over, it gets connected to the front of the ship and it helped it to move out of the harbour, and like looking at the harbour walls and how the actual harbour is built and the way that the obviously all the ships are docked, and how is it they keep it stable enough so that you can drive the car onto it? What safety checks are they doing before we can set off? Like, why can't you go down by the car during the ferry crossing? And like all these different questions that come
Yeah.
up that they would just never have any reason to ask otherwise. Like they're literally never going to be in front of them. And I think that from my perspective,
Mhm.
the novelty combined with just opportunities for questions and encouraging questions all the time and answering them as quickly as you can just breeds this lovely nature of curiosity in children that they already have, to be honest. They already want to ask these questions. And the more we encourage it, the more engaged they are in those environments, the more fun everything becomes because it
Yeah.
means that they actually appreciate it. Like this as well. Like I think sometimes we can, as parents, we can sometimes worry, like we both were sat chatting a bit before we came on about missed opportunities and things we didn't quite get to do when we were on our holidays, and actually feeling a little bit sad about them. And sometimes as parents, that can lead to a feeling of our children weren't very grateful for something, or they didn't appreciate it very much, or they didn't want to join in with certain thing how we pictured it was going to be. It wasn't necessarily what we were talking about today. Because
Mm,
just both of us ended up with sick kids, and so it's more the fact they were just very poorly and they couldn't enjoy it. But that can
yeah.
sometimes, like in some situations, it can make you feel like there's a lack of gratitude or a lack of appreciation. And actually, one of the things which I noticed very early on in my relationship with my kids is to recognize questions as gratitude. When they show
Mm,
any signs of engagement or interest, it doesn't
mm,
always look like a thank you. It doesn't always look like them grinning the whole day. But what it can look like is a child just asking some really good questions, even if it was only for a short period of the day. Like we went to a museum on the way back through Dunkirk. It's the 1940s museum about the evacuation during World War II, Battle of Dunkirk. And I didn't pay attention to the time when we arrived. It was far too close to lunchtime. We started looking around. They're both instantly like, I'm hungry. Is there a cafe here? Can we have food first? I'm just like, oh no, like I didn't think about that. Sorry. And we gave them some snacks and we carried on looking around. But you could tell that like after about halfway through, they were both like, seriously, like we're really hungry. Can we just go and have some lunch now? But it's like I was able to segment it out between like, actually they have shown a lot of interest here and they have enjoyed it. I've messed up. I've not created the right environment for their learning. I should have made sure they'd eaten properly first. And so it's like, fair enough. Like these are mistakes we make. We always have to kind of adjust and figure things out for next time. But
yeah.
ultimately, these environments and opportunities just give them a chance to be curious. And the gratitude they showed me by the interest they showed in the things that they could see is enough. It makes me feel really satisfied that they've made the most of an experience and they have taken stuff from it. And so I find that sometimes, as I say, just travel and being in different places and experiencing different things just naturally creates this lovely kind of sense that you've covered an awful lot, and it's been way more immersive and engaging than if you just read a book about it or watched a documentary or something like.
Yeah. Oh,
um
yeah.
and so I think that's for me is 100% a priority and something I've really enjoyed this year. But what else have you had come up this year that you've been really enjoying?
Well, we definitely, I think the biggest thing in the back half of the year has been that we sort of leaned more into horseback riding, and the girls have started a share pony. And this really changed the dynamic of our week and just sort of rocked our routine, and in a good way.
Mm.
They're loving the extra time with the horses, or in this case with the share pony. But it definitely meant that everybody had to chip in to do all the chores associated with it. We had to get out of the house. We have to, it doesn't matter what the weather's like. And we've actually been very lucky. The weather, I think there was just one day where it was like really chucking down rain, but otherwise we've been really fortunate. But so we committed to doing that 2 days a week, and still doing the pony stars that the girls were doing, still doing pony club, which is twice a month. And so all of that has been great, but it's definitely been something that I've found, while my oldest has really enjoyed it no matter what, my younger two have found it a bit challenging, just because the pony is a little bit tricky. And so they can't always ride her. We need the instructor to help, things like that. And so it's just given us a really good opportunity to assess like what's working for us, what's not, and like the trade off of the schedule.
Mm.
So, like, I've had to personally be very involved in this, obviously, from a safety perspective and from a capability perspective. I definitely felt like they had the ability to do it, and they do. But I just didn't realize the importance of finding the exact right environment to sacrifice the amount of learning that we were giving up, because there was plenty of
Mm.
times when we would get to the stable and I'm like, okay, guys, in and out in an hour, we got to get back because we've got to do this, we got to do that. And it's just like, well, no, we can't get out of there in less than 2 hours. And typically it's three. And then by the time we get
Mm.
home, no one wants to do anything because
Because
they
they're
felt like
knackered.
they've done a lot. Yeah. And they have. It made us give up one of our weekly outdoor meetups with friends because of the days that it
Mm.
was assigned. And I didn't realize until we started going back to that how much they missed it, because it happens slowly. You don't realize, like, oh my gosh, this is why they're going bananas.
Yeah.
And we were still outside, we were still doing things. But the physical activity, the mental release was not the same. So
No.
I think like it's been really good because it shows us that we do like having a pony share. I think it's just shown us as well, like the commitment level that we're prepared to make at this time.
Mm,
Because then I have my younger two that are saying, oh, well, we would like to also start gymnastics again. And we would like to do this drama thing. In England, there's this thing called stagecoach, but I'm not even going to try to explain it to you. So if you live in America,
yeah.
just Google it. And so, like, if we're going to do that, like, we just don't have the time in our day. Like,
No.
we just don't. Like, you can't be 100% extracurricular activities. Like, we
No.
have to have a little
You need
core.
to have some downtime at home, don't
So,
you?
and some time together. Like, it's winter, it's
Mm,
feeling like I want to light the candle and sit on the couch and read books together, and
mm.
instead we're like going all over. So yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that was like a really big thing in like the last, I would say, like 4 months, that we're going to shift around a bit in the new year and try to find a
Yeah.
better fit.
And I think the constant juggle of trying to get your schedule right is basically
Um,
just the
it's
life of
just
a home
ongoing.
educator.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing,
never
right?
going to get it right, are we, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And I think there's always so many more cool things that you could try. And I think I started out home ed with mine with the attitude of each term we'll just try something new. So like
Yeah.
we'll drop something and we'll pick something up instead. So not necessarily
Mhm.
adding, but just like
Right.
changing something out. And that's
Yeah.
worked really well up until now. And now they've found climbing and they love it so much. But I'm just like, okay, well, that's my Tuesday afternoon set for the rest of your home ed career. Fantastic. Like, that's just going to have to stick. It's same as their forest school they go to every week. They love it. And so it's like, okay, this is really good that we're obviously starting to get some stuff established that you guys do feel really comfortable at, that you enjoy going to, especially my youngest, who really struggles with pretty much anything out of the house. She's becoming more confident in herself, like she's communicating that much better. She's learning how to use me to help her to communicate with her friends. So she needs a bit of help to overcome a challenge instead of just not joining in. Like she's managed to find a
Mm.
way to get me to talk to them and express that she wants to join in, but they just need to invite her. So they just need to tell her that they want her to. And then she feels relaxed to go and join in, but she doesn't like to
Mm.
just muscle in to play. There's all these little bits of like communication that she's able to get across to me now and to others. That means that she's starting to engage with things that much more, which is wonderful. But ultimately, that both of them really love climbing, and they both really enjoy their forest school. And so it's like, okay, good. So we've got a couple of established bits, but I have
Mhm.
to really kind of constantly manage the energy levels and keeping some downtime at home and give us that respite. But we've also found that we're finding it so hard with everyone's super busy schedules to keep relationships going and to keep them seeing their friends. And
Yeah.
I put an announcement in my local group recently, just being like, okay, desperate mum alert. I'm sick of driving 40 minutes to see everybody that I like seeing. I was like, is anybody else with similar age kids locally who's also looking for someone to hang out with a bit more? Like, please just tell
Yeah.
me. And I've met a load of new people online in the same vein who now want the same thing. And hopefully I'll make a few new friends this year. So my big goal for this coming year, I think, is to try and bring a little bit more of our social into local.
Mm.
So we're not doing quite as much driving, but also to try and see if I can work out like some of the relationships that I'm missing and I'm not seeing as much, to see if we can work out something that means that we do get to see each other that bit more often or whatever. So it's a constant battle of shifting and changing what to meet needs in the current and the now, because they're not the same. They're not the same children a year ago as they are now. And they won't be again in another year. And I think that constant development and change can feel quite a lot sometimes, but I think as long as we're open and receptive to change and recognizing when things aren't working and being like, okay, this is just isn't quite right and we need to do something about it. I'm a really firm believer that as home educating parents, we should not be completely sacrificing our own joy and tolerance and limits. Like that, of course, we all sacrifice for each other sometimes or compromise or like make it work. But ultimately, if I don't believe that anyone should sit there going, well, I sacrificed all of my time and energy and money and happiness so that you could have a wonderful childhood, because there's absolutely nothing about that doesn't breed resentment, no matter how
Yeah.
much we want to say it doesn't.
Mm.
That we're living our lives too, and we have to get a good balance. But do I sometimes find myself thinking, gosh, it's cost us 4 times as much to go out for dinner? Or
Oh
like,
my God.
gosh, it's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
this is crazy and they didn't even eat it. Like it's ended up going in the bin. Like there are moments that do make us go, huh, this is
Of
frustrating.
course.
And
Yeah.
it's, as I say, I always think that resentment isn't a dirty word. it's just something to notice. So if you're noticing it coming up and you're feeling resentful, then it's not putting that on someone else, but it's saying, okay, decisions that I am making right now are leading me to feel resentful of, like, I mean, if it is the kids, then they're simply because they exist. So it's like, okay, so I made them.
Sorry, that's a harsh
So
one.
like, that's a harsh one, but it's like, okay, they exist and that's making me feel resentful. Why? Why am I feeling resentful? Well, it's because actually I haven't made any time for myself recently, or I haven't
Yes.
gone out and had some fun with my friends, or I don't sit
Mhm.
and read a book, or I don't protect my personal time well enough, or I don't like set a boundary well enough. And actually it's taking some ownership of that and recognizing that there are things that you can do and change to
Mhm.
potentially ease that. Not necessarily always get rid of it all, because it's a real feeling and it's one of the rainbow of feelings that humans experience. It's just understanding that it's so often less about them and more about the choices that we are making. And kind of like moving on slightly, is the book studies. So you
Mhm.
actually inspired me with this one, because you were talking about the read alouds that you do with your kids and how sometimes you just use a book that you read
Mhm.
together and that develops the kind of topic and the conversation you're doing. And I got so into it, and we ordered a load of really good books as we kind of came into this Changing Perspective series. And I've been reading them with the kids of an evening, and that's kind of become a really lovely part of our day. Is after dinner, when I just want to sit and digest my food, I just grab it and read them a couple chapters, and they color or they play with something quietly, and I talk to them and tell them about it, and then we have a conversation about any bits that come up in it that we don't like or that we find a bit jarring or like
Yeah.
triggering or whatever, and we talk about it a bit more. And it has opened up so many amazing, interesting conversations that I never would have imagined they would be participating in, to be honest, at the ages that they are. And so actually I think that's going to continue to become a real cornerstone of our home ed, is just reading random books relating to the topic that we're doing at the time, or that they're
Yeah.
interested in, so that they can have that kind of wider understanding of how something played out. Or um yeah, I found that really lovely. I've really enjoyed that this year. It's something I'm definitely going to try and carry on.
Yeah, same for us. I mean, we love books over here, and I feel like that is, if I had one goal as a parent, it would be like to instill a love for books in my children. Initially, this was sort of something I was worried about because the reading wasn't clicking for my kids. So book studies became really important because it was a way for us to keep reading good books. I was just reading them to my kids, and then we were diving into whatever topic or whatever grammar, whatever we felt was going to come from that particular effort. And we're definitely going to continue it. And I feel like reading is one of the things this year that I'm really excited about, the accomplishments we've made in it. So my oldest is now reading before bed every night on her own,
Hmm.
and she is blowing through chapter books, which
Hmm.
is, first of all, of course, they're all about horses. But I like scour the charity shops for horse books. And then there was one she really wanted, and we finally were able to find it, but at a different library. So like she went up to the desk and we put it on reserve and all of this. So it's very exciting for that to come in. And again, just, yeah, I've been going to the library with my youngest, a little tangent here, with my youngest and my oldest two were at art club. This year, because of the pony share, we stopped art club this last term. And it's meant that now we all go to the library whenever we're trying to exchange books and stuff. And that has been awesome. So I didn't even realize like how they were missing the library until we got it back in our lives, which
Mm.
is really good. And then my middle daughter, who has had zero interest in reading, it actually has been like a point of contention for, in the house, for me to be like, it's okay that she's not reading. Like, this is okay. This is her timeline. If
Mm.
I push it, she will hate it.
Hmm.
So I kind of really held on, and now she is really taking off with it. So that has been amazing. So I
That's
do
great.
credit, yeah, I think like we've had a really good reading year. The books like have been a big part of that. So I'm
Mm.
definitely going to continue with that as well, and hopefully bring in
Yeah.
some more. We're doing one right now on the Titanic. So we're sort of bringing in like nonfiction components and like what are characteristics of nonfiction books. Like, let's look at the glossary, the index, drawings, maps. And so it's been really cool. And so we're kind of branching away from like fiction and into nonfiction, which has been good. So yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
continuing that too. I love it.
Yeah, it's really lovely, isn't it? And I think this also has really helped with things like storytelling. So my son, for example, he doesn't access imaginative, it's called ideation, I think is the term that's used. It's the concept of being able to come up with his own ideas is very, very tricky for him. And so actually one of the things that autistic children need quite a lot of is a lot of reading, a lot of books, because it helps to give them more and more and more characters and concepts and visuals
Absolutely.
and
The
ideas.
context. Yeah.
And it builds almost like a bit like just building vocabulary. It just builds more ideas and opportunities in their heads, then they can reuse them and reimagine them that much easier. And ultimately, we have been trying to get him interested in reading without kind of really putting any pressure on it for many years. And he's done really well. He developed the ability to read, but he still wasn't really picking up books. And so this year I was using our one free book that we got on the Amazon Prime deal thing to get one free book every month. And I basically gifted that to him because I've got my own Audible membership. I plow through too many books to survive without one. And he gets that free one every month. So he's being able to choose a book every month. And he went through the whole Percy Jackson series and like all sorts of stuff. And he's been really loving that. And actually, a lot of people kind of going, oh, yeah, if they listen to audiobooks all the time, are they actually going to pick up a book? It's too easy. Like they're not taking it in as much. And I really want to dispute this because ultimately, I think it's a real shame that we almost gatekeep access to books and stories and vocabulary. Like sometimes we think, oh, no, they've got to read it themselves. Like, we've got to get them reading a book and picking it up themselves. And actually, what I've found is the inspiration that comes from offering it to them in a medium that means that they can access it and then gradually showing them the delights of actually picking up a book and reading it for themselves. It does come. And I mean, like he's gone from reading quite easy, simple reader books to actually managing to get through a book that was a chapter book very recently. He loves graphic novels and he can plow through a graphic novel in a couple of days now, but ultimately he will then read it and read it and read it and read it. And then I'm hoping that really this next coming year, I can see that he would now probably sit down with a chapter book and he would probably finish it. And like every night they read the How to Train Your Dragon novels. So my husband and him sit and read a few chapters every night. And my son will read a page and then my husband will read the rest of the chapter, and just gently getting him more used to doing bigger pages of text. Because I think once you can start to imagine it as you're reading it and you start enjoying it, then you really start to develop this ability to carry on. And I honestly think that when it comes to, again, the natural course of things for a child, obviously, again, discounting kind of dyslexia and any child who've got a really difficult to access kind of element of this sort of thing. Like, of course, if they are becoming significant challenges, then they're going to need some more specialist support. But when you have got a child who is just gradually working their way there, most of the time, a hands-off or just very gentle scaffolding approach is enough and gives them a chance to find their way there at a pressure pace that makes them actually feel good about it. And like, as we just gently encourage or we gently inspire or we offer opportunity or we read to them or we give them audible books or like whatever it might be, we're dropping in the joy, we're keeping that joy up, and it eventually will lead to them knowing that picking up a book and reading it is just as much fun. But equally, like I find that I listen to audible books because I can then carry on doing the things I'm doing. Like I can knit, or I can draw, or I can paint, or I can do the washing up, or I can do other things whilst I'm listening. I can drive or whatever. And it's like, I actually then get to consume a lot more books and get a lot more vocabulary and get a lot more inspiration than I would if I was just going to read books physically sitting down and reading them on paper. And I think it's okay to kind of allow these things to be flexible and to allow them to kind of reach interest in it when they want to reach it. And I think kind of this brings us quite neatly onto the fact that actually, I know we've had a big whole episode about it. So if you want to hear my full opinion on AI, go back and listen to that one. But AI has also been really helpful in this, like going from me kind of asking it to write us a bedtime story about a particular character to now my son will dictate the place that it happens, the characters that happen, what they look like, what might happen in the story. And he gives it a full prompt and he's learning how to give it a full kind of feature of what he wants from it, and then it writes him a great story and he loves it. And he's noticed that actually the more information you give it, sometimes the worse the story is. It needs to be left to its own delight. If you give it its own freedom to do what it wants, then it will come up with a really great story. But sometimes it gets a bit convoluted if you give it too much information. So it's quite interesting. But he has learned so much about the concept of story building. So now he understands that a story needs a place, it needs characters, it needs some color and texture and visuals so that you know what you're actually looking at. Like, he has now started to understand the concept of writing a story. And this is something which I've been really struggling to get him to actually have any interest in doing. And so I think AI this year has obviously, it's blown up everyone's world, really, hasn't it? And it's been around since about 2022, I think it is. But obviously it's only really just properly taking hold on people now. And I know we've all got our reservations about it, but I certainly think that then in certain small windows of usage, he is finding it very, very helpful to actually develop his skills and understanding of how something is created. And it becomes a very independent experience for him too. It's also teaching him about the joys of voice to text and how inaccurate that is and how much easier it is sometimes to just type it yourself. And like,
Yeah.
so many different things that he is learning from that experimentation. I just think sometimes we need to be mindful that at one point people didn't like kids reading books because they felt like they were lost in other worlds all the time. So like, let's just give it a chance. Let's give it a chance and see what happens. Like, I think it could have some great benefits too.
Going back to the audiobooks for a second, I think I will challenge anyone on this that says it's not reading or that it doesn't have a value like reading a book, because one, we already know the value of kids being read to. That is certainly not disputed. And so the more people that can read to our children, the more accents, dialects, voices that they hear is a great thing. Right? And the fact that they're using their minds to create this world is amazing. So I think that to me is just, when people say that, it does kind of boil my blood a bit. The other thing is, I recently read, and I may have already said this, but I will repeat it because I think it's super interesting, that when you are listening to an audiobook, the narrator is reading it exactly as it's written. So you are consuming a proper, fully structured sentence in most cases, right? You're hearing it in the way that it was intended and the way that it was written. And when we speak, we leave out things, we skip words. When we read, and I did not know this is so interesting to me. Without knowing, when we read a book, or when we probably read anything, we will skip over stuff. Our mind is still processing it, but we'll skip words, we'll shorten things. We don't consume it in the same way that you do when you hear it. And so there is a value of actually consuming the language and the way that it's written. It's just so super interesting to me. And so I think that as our kids are learning to read, they will skip over things, they will mistake words, they will have their mind is moving faster than their brain is speaking to itself, I guess, in a way. I don't know how to explain that, but I thought that was just so super interesting. So it is really important, especially as kids are older and you stop reading to them at night. It is very important for your preteens and teens to hear things read to them.
Yeah.
And not just to be reliant on their own consumption. And so I think audiobooks for me is just as important to develop a love for that, which the Yodo is a huge component of that for us. And then we always listen to audiobooks in the car. We've done the whole Harry Potter series, which we're finally wrapping up. We're on the last book. And I'm very excited about it just because there's so many other books I want us to start doing. So I feel like this is a long commitment. But it's been good. And so I think that for me is also really important. I think modeling that, like the fact that you're listening to an audiobook, my girls know if I have my earbud in, I'm probably listening to an audiobook. So I think it's just good to show like, no, this is a continued thing. And the more that we can encourage that, it's only going to be a good thing.
I also think it offers them a sustained focus too. I mean, my son, I can remember just thinking about this, the Harry Potter books when we were listening to them. It was actually when he was in hospital there for a couple of days. And honestly, we could sit there for hours listening to an audible book together. And he would just sit there and listen and almost not need to do anything else. And I mean, for a child to be able to provide that much sustained focus and to be so lost in the imaginative kind of world in his head, like kind of imagining it as he's listening, is huge. Like that ability to focus on it for that long is so great. And it does kind of create that kind of completion interest as well. Like I know that if I'm really enjoying a good book, then I'll want to finish it. And that that
Mhm.
in itself is a really great skill and something which we should be encouraging more and more of in young people, really. But yeah, I mean, I think kind of, I guess I'm looking at the time and realizing that we've been talking for a while. And I know that we love to kind of, we could go on forever about these things. But I
Mhm.
guess the last couple of thoughts I had for the year that's just gone and kind of what we're going to carry on with is regulation tools. So, I mean, we definitely need to do a lot of movement during our learning, a lot of fidgeting, a lot of doing different things in things like the wobble cushion, the swing we've got downstairs, but also combined with mixing up our mediums. So this is going to sound a bit random, but using things like I found these, like the temporary tattoos you
Mm.
can get markers that you can draw on yourself with, and they stay for a while. So they're kind of glittery, they're really pretty, and they come with a load of stencils and stuff as well. But between writing on their own bodies, writing on the windows with chalk markers, we've got a
Mhm.
glass table outside that we sit around in the summer months to enjoy our meals, and we were using the chalk markers to draw on the table. It's like playing
Yeah.
hangman, playing tic-tac-toe, like whatever you fancy doing, but like mix up your mediums, draw in sand, like draw
Oh,
on
yeah.
glass, like draw on themselves. Like we did this whole like dinosaur timeline as part of a really great session with Maths with Ruth. So it's Joyful Maths with Ruth on Facebook. It's free sessions for home ed
Mhm.
families. You can obviously pay a little bit every month to support her, but she's a fellow home ed mum. She's an ex maths head of department at secondary school, and she does the most incredibly fun maths lessons. And essentially she did this great one about dinosaurs where she got them to draw out the timeline of like the Cretaceous period and the Jurassic period and stuff on their arm. And my son was like, oh, can we get some dinosaur tattoos so that I can like put the right
Oh, like, put
dinosaurs in
them
the right
along. Yeah.
section? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Like, so we ordered some, and literally he made me keep redrawing that on his arm with a Sharpie over and over and over again so that it wouldn't fade for weeks. Like, it was hilarious. Like, just walking around with this dinosaur timeline on his arm. And so mixing up the mediums, creating a new canvas, having a bit of fun with different things, but just like using the sensory swing downstairs. It's got this sensory swing that's right by our big double back doors that lead out into the garden. And I use it like a whiteboard. So we talk about stuff and I draw in there and we talk about whatever we want to talk about,
Yeah.
whilst they're messing about on the swing or the wobble board and the fidget cushion and stuff. And so movement, regulation tools, allowing them to move their bodies and do what they need to do, to eat, drink, fidget,
Right.
really is super important for us. And I think that's something that we've been doing so much better at this year and embracing that much more, and have experienced so much less pushback and so much more engagement from our children. That I'm very grateful that I've obviously come on board with the concept of it so well. But that was, I think, really, that was my main thoughts, really, the things which have
Mm.
really been a big deal for us: to sort of travel, changing up the transport, changing up the medium, using the regulation tools, enjoying those evening read alouds, and
Mhm.
AI, because I'm controversial and I like it. And I think that I don't want to use it all the time, but I certainly will a little bit. And I think those are my main kind of like, if I
Mm.
really want to reflect on the tools that have been really helpful to our home ed this year,
Yeah.
I think it's that. And I think I don't really have much of a plan for next year. And that in itself has made me smile, thinking that actually I'm not stressed actually at all. I'm not sitting here gearing
Mhm.
up for a massive planning session. I don't feel like I need to do a massive rejig. Things are
Yeah.
feeling pretty stable. And I think that in itself is a really wonderful gift, because it shows me that, I mean, I don't even know exactly how far in we are now. I think my son would be in year 3, I
I know, I
think.
have this
I
struggle all the
actually
time.
don't
What
know.
grade are they in now? I have to
Could
find someone else the same age and be like, "What
could
grade is your
could
kid
be
in?"
year 4. Like, I'm not honestly not sure.
I
But
know.
ultimately we have been at this for 4 or 5 years now. Like, yes, okay, not very long in the grand scheme of things, but long enough for me to have my feet well and truly under the table. And actually I feel like finally things are feeling pretty chill. I actually feel pretty relaxed. They're both developing at a rate which is making me feel quite satisfied and happy that they are progressing. They are showing
Mhm.
good interest in the subjects they're interested in, and actually our home ed is feeling pretty joyful right now. So yay for that. If you just want to celebrate that with me for a moment, then feel free. I'm sorry if it's not the case for you right now. I appreciate that it isn't. It will not stay this way, just in case anybody feels like I'm bragging. I'm sure at some point in the next few months, something will rocket completely again. But
Yeah, it's as
right
of
now,
right.
it feels pretty stable, and I'm grateful for that. And I think that
Mhm.
we should pause and notice when it feels good and when it feels like it's in sync, because it's a good point to then kind of go, right, well, what's so good about it then? Let's keep an eye on it. Like, what is it that we love about it?
What to be
Why?
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
what's
in case it
working?
goes off kilter again, they could be like, right, well, it
Yeah,
worked really well when we
yeah,
were doing this. So,
yeah, yeah. I think we've pretty much covered everything on my list too. I'm just looking. I had also noted online classes
mm,
and outschool, and that has been something that I don't. I think we've gotten to the point where they're working for us.
Hmm.
The kids are happy to sit for 25 minutes and do a little class.
Yeah.
And I found like a Canva class that's just the two of them, which financially is awful, but actually for them, they've really enjoyed. And I'm
Hmm.
sort of saying, okay, this is online creativity plus it's computer skills,
It
and
is.
they're spending an hour with a different adult who's teaching them something totally different than I
Hmm.
do. And they're really enjoying it. And she has such patience and she's so good with them. And so I'm just sort of like, I don't know, they're kind of friends now, but
Yeah.
I can't take that away.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep
Canva's
doing
really
that.
great. I use Canva an awful lot
Yeah,
for my
I
businesses
do.
and things I do.
Yeah, I mean, mostly they just search for horse pictures and put them on a sheet of paper and ask me to print it. But they have created like a magazine and bookmarks and oh, this leads me
Nice.
to the next thing we have. They've created all like the advertisements and stuff for their little booth that they do at craft fairs where they create rainbow loom bracelets. So this has been a big
Nice.
thing. And so they've done all of that. So yeah, and we've been getting to more craft fairs and they've been sort of having to figure out what sells, what doesn't, what should we change, what should we add, what's
That's
the cost of
amazing.
something like that? You know, will we ever get even close to what we spend on it back if we sell it? Or is this just
Yeah.
something I'm kind of donating? But so they definitely want to keep doing the craft fairs, which I think is really fun.
That's great. Yeah. Lots of enterprise
Yeah,
skills there. Super important skills to be building.
yeah. Yeah. And then into next year, I think we're going to continue with the kind of more chores and more responsibility. We've added a bit this year, and it just definitely feels like I am sort of getting to the point of my limit of taking care of the stuff that they certainly could do themselves.
Yeah.
I just I no longer want to put your dishes in the dishwasher. I just don't. So you bring them from the table and you rinse them off or dump the food or whatever, and then put it in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I have no patience for it anymore. I've been doing it for my oldest is 11. I am done.
Yeah, it's enough years,
So
isn't it?
it
I have
just
reached a
feels
similar feeling myself, to be fair.
yeah. So like all these
Yeah.
little things, to your earlier point of like kind of looking at reflecting what's working and then what is like for me like not working. And I feel like this is one of the things where I'm getting very annoyed in my day when I
Mm,
am doing this. And because we're home, because it's not just one meal, it's all the meals, and we have like 50.
yeah.
The plates add up, and so I'm just yeah that part. So we're definitely going to do more of that. I think we're going to do more games. I've noticed one that we're not always the best losers in card games and things like that. So I some of us are and some of us aren't. So no one's here for me to point fingers at, but I'm sure you can imagine which one I'm talking about. So
In our
I
family,
want us
nobody's
to
very good at taking turns. We all forget
mm,
whose turn it is next, and so even I'm
so to
terrible
like
at it.
pop
And
in.
we just keep just like going to take a turn again. And my poor husband is literally just sat there going, like,
Do I go? Am I playing
guys,
this game?
like, what is going on? Like, it's not your turn; it's his turn. Like, I'm like, sorry, who's paying attention here? Anyone? Does a
You need
second.
like the speaking stick or whatever, like something to
Oh yeah,
pass
like
around when
something
it's like
that's
your
a
turn.
great idea. Yeah, that's great. Just to kind of, like if you're
You
holding
can't
it,
roll the dice if you don't have the magic pen.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think we're gonna keep doing that. My kids love games, and I found that we tend to play the same. Like we've had a Go Fish stack of cards that has like lived on our kitchen table, so all the games are upstairs. So we tend to keep playing that one. So I'm gonna try to
Hmm.
like get more proactive about like shuffling some of the other ones down because I get
Yeah.
sick of playing the same one over and over again, and then
It's a good
it's just
point. We
more
have a
fun.
stack of games by our dining room table, and it does mean you play them. Like we do tend to
Yeah,
get them out after dinner and sit and play a game of Scrabble or
right.
something random because they do enjoy doing that a lot.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna keep doing that and try a little more intentional
Hmm.
about it. And then the last one I have is just like, are we going to add back some things? Like, are we going to go back to engineering? Are we going to go back to art? Are we going to start some of
You
these
come
other
do
things that the girls
climbing.
want to do? We want to do climbing. Actually, I forgot that one. And we did want to do that. I think the girls really enjoyed it when we did it the one time. So, yeah. So, this is the thing where I'm trying to, I think when we talk about like, there's always like that new year feeling and like, what are we changing? What are we doing differently? The New Year's resolutions and things like that. And I think to your point, like our school itself feels good. It's the other stuff that I'm not sure what that's going to look like. So that's sort of what
Yeah.
I'm thinking about.
Routines feeling a bit
Yeah.
wonky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just had a big upheaval recently, and I've not been able to get us back. So, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think for us, maybe our, not necessarily New Year's resolution, but definitely something which I've already started thinking about is our social, that I feel like we
Mhm.
are lacking enough regular contact. We do still see people. Like, I'm not kind of like, they will see friends 3 to 4 times a week. So, I mean, it's not like they see no one. I realize now as I say that out loud how ridiculous I sound.
Like,
Like, do we need more? Yes, we need more. We're an ADHD family. We need more. We need it daily, at least
mm,
for a little while every day. We need to spend some time talking to someone because my social battery goes down really, really fast. And so I do need to see people and chat to people most days. But it is harder for
yeah.
them when really they're kind of at the mercy of everybody else's schedules and timings and sickness and if we're going to get to somewhere or not. If it's just sometimes it feels like we might go 2 or 3 days where they just don't get to see anyone or do anything and they're really bored. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, you need to get better. Like, we can't go anywhere yet. These things happen.
Yeah.
But social does feel very important to me, that we need to have some more friendships and some more relationships that we can fall on that are local, that want to kind of meet up and do things, like even just a
Mm.
quick trip to the randomly to the park. Like, are you free this
Right,
afternoon? Do you
exactly.
fancy going to the park? Like, I just need a couple of people who are local to be able to do that with. I think is going to really make a difference to our weeks. But obviously, from a podcast perspective, guys, we really want to say a huge thank you. We've definitely got a big group of you every week who literally tune in within the day of it going live, which is really special. We love seeing how many of you are constantly just like
Yeah.
jumping straight on to hear our episodes. We are taking a little bit of a break. So I am about to start my official ADHD coaching course, which is very exciting. So as of
Mhm.
March, I will be a fully qualified ADHD coach. Obviously, I am a coach already and I have got some qualifications in place already, but this is just a kind of step up in my learning. So I'm very, very excited, but that does mean we're going to take a short break. Do keep listening to the episodes gone by. Do catch up. Do keep reaching out to us and saying hello. Have a wonderful festive season, whatever it looks like for you. And thank you so much for loving, sharing, subscribing, commenting,
Yes.
reviewing, all of it. Like, if you can give us one Christmas present this year, it'll be to just share it with a friend and give us a couple more people who enjoy coming and listening ready for next year.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being our audience and for listening to us just witter on about whatever we fancy talking about, Ashley. Aren't they lovely?
We appreciate you so much
We really
keeping us
do.
going.
And so we really enjoy it, don't we? I think we started
Yeah.
this as a bit of fun, really, didn't we? Like, it was
Yeah,
just meant to be a bit of
absolutely.
fun, and
Yeah.
we're nearly 2 years in. How amazing is that? Like, I can't believe we've kept this up for as long as we have, and we certainly have no intention of it going anywhere. So that's really
Yeah.
exciting. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you all for making us a part of your week.
Yeah.
But
Happy
we'll see you all
holidays.
again next year. Take care, everyone.
Bye. You've been listening to the Big Home Ed Conversations podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Big Home Ed Podcast for updates. Thank you for listening to season 4. We'll see you in the spring with a new season. But in the meantime, go back and listen to any episodes that you've missed. Look out for the occasional book review, as we'll drop a few of those over the winter. Happy holidays, and thanks again for listening.